So, wow, this has been an unbelievable season. From indoors, going into outdoors, challenging for an ACC track championship, and then culminating it off with a last jump, last round national champion in Sinclair Savage. So it's been an outstanding year for the Cards. It's been a lot of fun, and it just keeps getting better and better. It Going into the outdoor season, we never really talked about winning an ACC championship, just putting people in the right positions and giving them the opportunities that they had. And then going into that meet on the women's side, coming down to the final day, having a chance, it was a lot of fun, and that's what college track and field is about. On the men's side, we had another good, solid year with multiple All-Americans, with KJ Bird getting fourth in the decathlon, and Joffrey there with 60 meters left with a chance to win the steeplechase just came up a little bit short. But today's about Sinclair and everything that she's accomplished, and being a national champion is something that will be there forever. When you look at the record books, Sinclair's name will always be there as the 2025 NCAA Outdoor Long Jump Champion.
Sinclair, I guess before we talk about your kind of journey, talk about the last jump. You know what I mean? Talk about what was going through your mind, and take us through the competition a little bit.
Yes. So going into the last jump, Coach Bob told me right before I jumped, he was like, "You can win this thing," and it didn't really hit me until I sat down, and I really just culminated like the whole meet and like my previous jumps, because I never really had a series like that until the national meet, and I really was like, okay, I can win this thing. Like, he's right. Like, if I really put everything and all of the training and all of the things that we've practiced into this last jump, like, I can ultimately put up a really good jump. Going into the meet, I knew that I would have to jump really big with all the competition. There was lots of really, really, really great girls out there that were really digging for a national championship. Like, all of them were really hungry, and in order to put myself out there, I knew that I had to ultimately go to their level and even higher. So ultimately channeling that was what got me through the last jump.
What was kind of your mindset though when you're in the competition? I mean, you know what you got to do. Did you feel confident
Yes.
that you could do it?
Yes. At the end of the day, confidence was one thing that I knew going into this meet that I had to have. Just at the environment, that environment is a very competitive environment, and if you're not confident at the end of the day, like, those are when your results don't really necessarily show. But just going in relaxed, confident, not overthinking too much, but keeping everything very level-headed is ultimately what kind of got me through the competition.
Kind of take us through your journey from the beginning of your collegiate career. And I know we talked a couple years ago when you felt like you had a good chance, going to to a national meet or whatever. Kind of take us through your journey and what maybe the last year and a half has been like.
Yes. So starting off from my freshman year, it was really like a wow. Like, I don't know if I want to do track anymore. And then going into my sophomore year, the passion I got back, ultimately seeing that the talent and the effort that I put into jumping was there, and then just ultimately building off of that into my junior year, and then going to my first indoor nationals and qualifying for outdoor. And then my senior year getting hurt, it was kind of like a halt in the road, and I had to kind of like dig a little deeper, and they gave me confidence that I never knew I had, and I kind of was doubting myself at that year point in time. But coming back this year was definitely an adjustment, because the issue with my back was kind of something that I faced during indoor, and mentally trying to get that out of my head, and ultimately just pushing through that was something that I had to adjust through. But going into outdoor was very good with being healthy consistently and being able to put up some good consistent marks. So yeah.
This is for Coach and Sinclair. Coach, was this a realistic goal for her, winning a national championship this year, and then for you as well? Was this something that you thought you could accomplish in your final year?
I'm going to defer to Bob on this one.
Oh,
I'm going
yeah.
to say yes. Everybody.
I think, yeah, there's a lot of ways I could address that, but I do think I remember meeting with Sinclair at the start of this year, and she was coming off having to sit out the whole year with an injury, and I remember her saying that it was really hard for her initially, but in a sense, it was a blessing in disguise where she could kind of recalibrate, find her joy again. And so she came into this season with a really positive mindset. And I think that really set her up for success. Despite the struggles indoor, a lot of inconsistency, nursing a back issue that kind of hampered her consistency in training, which we were able to address and put behind us after spring break. And then she was just, it's the most consistent I've seen an athlete in my 20 years of coaching be over a 3-month period of time. And so I felt like midway through outdoor, based on the progression of her training and some very specific technical changes we made with her approach. Once those things really took hold, and I started to see some of the measurables that we target in training all the time start to skyrocket in a way I hadn't really seen before, I felt very confident that she could probably be top 3 or 4. I think she was heading in that direction. But by the time the regional meet came and she just really jumped out of her mind and she jumped 664 to really win it, not only win it, but to jump one of the furthest jumps in NCAA East region history. At that point, I felt like maybe before I felt like there was a 5% chance she could win it, but now it was maybe a 20% chance. And we, even that morning, I'm sure Sinclair remembers, but the morning of the meet, I met with her. Like, I had this little like note of all the bullet points I was going to go through, and we just like walked around the hotel area. And I told her then, I was like, you can win this thing. Like, no one sees you coming. Everyone sees Baylor and Florida and Stanford, but like no one has the consistency that you've had over the last month. And so I felt very confident that she could contend at that point. And just her headspace was so good, and her consistency in training was just truly marvelous, I'd say. And you know, it's a testament to her attitude, her work ethic, and her season and all the work she had done really set her up for that success. So I would say I wouldn't say I necessarily saw it coming midway through the season, but it was something that was kind of growing in the back of my head, and then it was starting to come to the forefront as you know we headed into regionals and so on and so forth. Yep.
If you ask me, I always joke and say, I definitely did not see this coming. This was not something that I expected at all. I knew that I could place, like Coach Bob said, top 5 was my goal, top 4, top 5. Coming into the meet, but if you ask like freshman year me, sophomore year me, I probably would have like laughed in your face really, really hard. So just to see this moment like come to light and just see like accomplish this it's like just still amazing to this day for me. So yeah.
To kind of expound on that, and Joe, maybe you can chime in here as well. But when you talk about 3-4 and you talk about the consistency in track and field, that's the thing. If you're in that top 5 any day, it's just a matter of that day, right? Is that not true?
100%, yeah. Especially at the the championship level meets. That was one thing I told Sinclair in that meeting that morning was, at the start of the day, everyone's tied. Everyone's at 0, so the rankings don't matter at all. And so, to me, if you have developed the consistency where you can. One of our goals after indoor was to stabilize a 640 jump. A 640 jump is 21 feet even, and almost 100% of the time that jump will make the NCAA final. And I feel like if you can establish consistency at that level, then you have kind of created a platform to springboard up to a bigger jump. And she really took that to heart, and she definitely did that. And so I think going into the meet, just the chance of being top 5 and to have the season that she had, she was really set up to do very well. I was a little surprised that some of the other girls didn't respond to the occasion, but that's also just the nature of a championship meet. You just never know what's going to happen. So yeah.
For Sinclair, have you had other meets events where it has come down to having to do it on the last jump?
The only other meet I could kind of equate that to would be my indoor nationals of my junior year. And it wasn't necessarily like a finals thing, but it was like I had to jump on that third jump to get into finals. So I'd say that was the only other meet that was kind of comparable to this one. But I always said before this meet, I'm not like a last jumper. I was like, that has never happened to me before. So for it to happen at this meet, I was like, wow, like this has just never happened besides that meet. So yeah.
Sinclair, take us through the injury year and how difficult mentally it was for you. When were you shut down pretty much for how long, I guess?
Yes. So that year was kind of hard because I went through all the fall training. Everything seemed to be progressing pretty well. The weight room was going well. Jumping was going well. Sprinting seemed to be going well. And I did about 2 meets, I think, that indoor season before I realized that I couldn't jump anymore. And then we got the MRI and the X-ray, and we saw that there was something with my back. And it was really hard for me because just seeing like my fall training and seeing like the progression that I was on and all the work that I put in, I was like, dang, like now I'm at a standstill and I can't compete for the rest of the season. And that was very hard to hear because that was something that never happened before. Like I would have little nicks and crannies here and there, but nothing to that extent. So just mentally at first it was very hard. I got in my head a lot, especially with how my freshman year was, and I just didn't know how the coaching staff would respond to that. But thankfully they were very, very, very helpful, and they helped push me through the process. Like I was able to go to practices, I was able to help here and there. They kept me very motivated, and by the time I was able to come back and start training, they were very they put me back into our team environment very quickly, so I was very thankful for that. But it was very hard for a second, and I had to sit there with myself, and I kind of was like, do I want to keep doing this, or do I want to keep going? And I had a lot of people around me saying, like, no, you have to keep going. Like, you have the talent, you have the passion, like, keep the energy going. So it was hard, but I am very thankful that it allowed me to think through a lot of things and process a lot of things.
How influential has these two been, and maybe even some of your other coaches been in your development and getting you to this point?
Yes, I say thank you to them like every day, but they pushed me to levels that I don't think that I would have been able to push myself to. The resources that they provided me with, the passion, the confidence, just through everything. When I had meets that I didn't think were my best, they were like, no, like, look at the good things that you've done instead of, like, the things that you aren't so happy, like, you aren't really happy with. And that kind of, like, changed my perspective a lot because that's something that I would do a lot. I'd be like, oh, this is what I did bad, this is what I did bad. And they were like, no, like, you have to look at the good things that you've done, the consistency that you've had. And they just ultimately pushed me to levels that, like, I didn't think I could get through. So, yeah.
What has it changed anything for you? I mean, now that you're a national champion, I
Yeah.
mean, besides the fact of, telling people, how has it kind of changed the way people look at you, talk to you? I guess you're pretty hit with the family, right?
Yes. Some of my family members, it's the first thing they say. Now they'll answer the phone. They'll be like, "Hey, national champ," and I'm like, "Stop!" Like, okay, like it was like, but they are very, very excited still. And I always say like they are also some of my biggest supporters. So they remind me every single day to this day that that's something that I accomplished. So I thank them for that. So yeah.
Has it changed thoughts of the future? Are you thinking of continuing professionally at all?
So that's still something that's kind of up in the air, just kind of weighing all my options. But it's definitely opened a lot of doors that I wasn't thinking about previously before the meet. So still thinking about a lot of things. Yeah.
Joe, what does having a national champion do for the program? And obviously, you've been here a couple years now, and you've talked about what this program can be. What does this do for you?
Legitimizes everything that we try to do. We've had a great history of jumps at the University of Louisville, and it's just continuing on that path. And when you combine, what you see this last jump in the NCAA 6th round national champion, but that's just a small piece of Sinclair. Sinclair's a 4.0 student. Are you 4.0, 3.8, 3.9?
3.8-ish.
3.8. So there's all these layers that just show what we want. What we want women like Sinclair to be at the University of Louisville. And she epitomizes everything that we as educators and coaches would like: self-motivation, confidence, communication, drive in the classroom, drive for postgraduate work, which is down the road for her at some point. So her doing what she did is a small part of who she is, but who she is what brings our program up.
Sinclair, do you, when you look back at your whole journey, can you still, I mean, it's been a couple weeks now, but can you still be like, wow, this was it kind of like one of those moments is like, wow, this happened to me, and kind of the end of your journey?
Yes. I always, after I jumped, I literally, I don't know if Coach Bob noticed because he was crying. I literally was like, somebody needs to, I was like, somebody needs to pinch me right now. And then I kept walking away, and I was like, I literally feel like I'm in a dream. And to this day, like, I'll go into my camera roll and look for something, but then like all the nationals pictures will be there, and I'll just like relive the moments, relive the videos that people watching sent me. So it just still feels surreal to this day. Just very thankful, and just I think about it almost every day still. So just very blessed for that moment.
Bob, what was that moment like for you?
Man,
Do you remember?
Oh, I'll never forget it. Yeah, I mean, it was. Well, it was funny. Little side bit here. Before her 5th attempt, which is historically when she jumps her best, she came she takes an attempt, comes over. So she did her 4th attempt. She improved, moved from 5th to 4th place with a 6:59. And you like just watching her warm up and watching her attempts, you could see I could see she's on the verge of something here. And so she came over after her 4th attempt, and I'm like, okay, it's fifth round time. I think it's time to call for the clap. Like your approach is locked in. Like just trust it. Trust all the training you've been doing. Turn your brain off and just do what you know you can do. Essentially. And so she came up. Her attempt was up on the 5th attempt, and I think it was the 200 prelims are going on at the same time, and so the crowd was just dead silent. And Sinclair, being Sinclair, she can be nice to a fault at times, and so she didn't want to interfere with the 200. So she sort of stood there like, oh, what do? I don't know what to do. And then she elected not to clap, and I'm like videoing, I'm like, crap, this is gonna be a mess. And so she did not clap. We kind of lost the plan, and then she fouled, which is fine. And so before that 6th attempt, I kind of reiterated the same thing I had told her before the 5th attempt, just a little stronger. So I told her, like, look, you can win this thing. Like I could see what her warm-ups looked like, the attempts she was having. You could see she was on the cusp of something huge here. And then I also just saw the competition just wasn't rising to the occasion. And so I told her, I was like, you can win this thing, Sinclair, but I don't care if it's the Olympic 100-meter final and no one in the crowd is silent. When you're on the runway, it is your time and you clap. And so she clapped, and the rest is kind of history from there. And when she landed it, there was like a gasp in the crowd, and I thought she had taken the lead. I was pretty confident she had taken the lead, but we still had to sweat out 4 more jumpers, and so I ran down there, and she ran over. We hugged each other, and I was kind of like, all right, we got 4 more jumps here. Here we go. All right, NCAA title on the line. And so, but yeah, I mean, yeah, the Florida girl fouled, and then Alexis from Baylor, she just ran through. And then the Illinois girl, she had a pretty good mark, but it was 6:63, I think, so not enough. And I was very nervous about the Stanford girl because she had a great season, and she's our a rival in the ACC, but she jumped like 6:55 or something, and I just remember standing up and being like, Sinclair, like, you won the NCAA title. Like, I just was like in shock almost. So yeah, it was a really special moment. Yep.
Thank you.